Hammurabi is one of history's most famous names, but it's probably not because you know he was the king of Babylon in Mesopotamia around 1800 BC. Instead, it's because of his name becoming synonymous with justice, specifically an eye for an eye. But there's so much more to this ancient king than just a famous quote. Let's find out how Hammurabi ruled his kingdom and why he will always be remembered as the king who wrote the law. Welcome back to Echoes of the Past, where we explore history's greatest figures and their legacies. Make sure to subscribe if you love learning about our world's past. And stick around until the end of the episode to learn about our special offer just for viewers like you. In order to tell the story of Hammurabi, we need to travel back to ancient Mesopotamia over 4,000 years ago. This civilization had been around since roughly 3500 BC. That means that by the time Hammurabi lived, it had already been home to many great cities and empires. However, by 1800 BC, the Akkadian Empire had fallen, and the region was broken up between several smaller city-states, including Kish, Lagash, and Hammurabi's home, Babylon. We don't know a ton about Hammurabi's early life, but what we do know comes from his own records, which makes them a bit biased. According to his writings, he was the son of Sin-Muballit, the king of Babylon, and while he himself was a warrior, he inherited a small and weak kingdom that desperately needed someone strong to lead it. Unfortunately, he also had a lot of older siblings, 6 full siblings, and at least 2 half-siblings, all of whom were probably in line ahead of him. However, in about 1950 BC, something happened that changed everything. A powerful group called the Kassites invaded Babylon and installed one of their own as king. This made Hammurabi the heir to the throne of a foreign power. Not a good thing in those days. But after watching his father and 2 of his brothers die in battle against the Kassite king, Hammurabi took his chance. With the help of his wife, he assassinated the Kassite ruler and took the throne for himself. He had taken the throne through violence and bloodshed, but according to his records, he did it to free Babylon from foreign rule and bring it under the banner of its true people, the Babylonians. Hammurabi was just 18 when he took the throne, but he was eager to leave his mark on the world. Unlike some of his predecessors, he didn't have much interest in launching military campaigns or expanding his territory. Instead, he wanted to create a lasting legacy for himself and secure the prosperity of his kingdom. So he did something no ruler had ever done before. It's easy to take modern conveniences for granted. When something breaks down, many of us call up customer service, read through terms and conditions, or check online reviews to find a solution. Back in ancient Babylon, there was no such thing as Google or customer support. If your water pipe broke, you were out of luck. If you were accused of stealing something, it was your word against the accusers. If someone broke your nose, you would have to seek revenge. No compensation or punishment. Life was essentially whatever the strongest person said it was, leading to instability and unrest among the people. So Hammurabi created the first ever legal system to settle disputes and restore order to his kingdom. Today we know it as the Code of Hammurabi. One of the most impressive things about it is that it applied to everyone equally, regardless of social status. The code held that all people were equal under the law and should be treated fairly. However, the social hierarchy still very much existed in Babylon. So this meant that even a king had to face punishment if he broke the law. Of course, the punishment usually involved a heavy fine that only someone of royal wealth could pay. For example, if a prince beat a commoner to death, he would have to pay the family of the victim 30 pieces of silver. If a member of the nobility did the same crime, the fine was raised to 25 pieces of gold. The Code of Hammurabi covered almost every aspect of daily life. In matters of marriage, it outlined rules about divorce, inheritance, and child custody. It also prohibited certain behaviors such as false accusations of sexual misconduct and forced marriage. In business matters, the code protected consumers against defective products, established guidelines for contracts, and allowed tenants to break leases if their landlords failed to maintain their property. It even regulated medical practice and set standards for doctors. If a doctor performed surgery and the patient died or suffered permanent injury, they were forbidden from collecting payment. This code also established the first known legal definition of rape. Now, if you're thinking that these laws sound awfully harsh, you're not wrong. In fact, the laws were extremely strict and often resulted in severe punishments, sometimes even including death. The code followed the principle of lex talionis, also known as the law of retaliation, which is commonly summed up as an eye for an eye. This meant that the punishment for a crime was intended to be equal to the harm caused by that crime. For instance, if someone blinded another person, they would themselves be blinded. Or if someone was put on trial for killing another person, they would be sentenced to death. Of course, today we see these punishments as barbaric, but at the time, they were seen as fair and necessary to uphold order and balance in society. What's most remarkable about the Code of Hammurabi is that it was written down, literally carved into stone. At the time, writing was still a relatively new invention, and records from the era are extremely rare. The fact that Hammurabi and his scribes took the time to record his laws shows how important he thought they were. They would eventually become the foundation of Babylonian law and later influence the development of legal systems around the world. The stele inscribed with the 282 laws of Hammurabi is over 7 feet tall and weighs almost 16 tons. Hammurabi likely modeled the stele after the traditional Mesopotamian ziggurat, a stepped pyramid structure used for religious purposes. The stele begins with a carving of Hammurabi prostrated before the sun god Shamash, who is holding a ring in his hands, representing the laws. The rest of the stele lists the laws themselves, written in a language that scholars refer to as Old Babylonian. Above each law was a symbol indicating what type of offense it pertained to, such as business, family, or criminal law. In addition to creating the first comprehensive legal code, Hammurabi accomplished other notable feats during his reign. He greatly expanded Babylon's borders, turning it into a major regional power. He built massive city walls, constructed temples, and encouraged trade both within his empire and with neighboring lands. He also introduced reforms to the Babylonian tax system, making it more equitable and easier to administer. Unfortunately, Hammurabi's accomplishments are overshadowed by the brutality of some of his laws, which often targeted vulnerable groups like women and slaves. Many of the laws were extremely patriarchal and gave men significant power over women. For example, a woman could only own property with her husband's permission, and she lost control of her own children once they were married. Under the Code of Hammurabi, a woman could be thrown into a river to drown if they accused her of adultery, and her male accusers would not even need to provide evidence of their claims. Similarly, slaves were denied basic rights and protections and could be tortured or killed without consequence. Despite these brutal practices, Hammurabi has become known as one of the greatest kings of Babylon. He reigned for 43 years, longer than any king before or after him, leaving behind a legacy that extended far beyond his own lifetime. After his death, his son and successor, Samsi-Addu, continued to expand Babylonian territory, setting the stage for the Babylonian Empire. The Code of Hammurabi was still in use centuries later, and its principles influenced the development of Roman law, which in turn inspired many modern legal systems. Hammurabi's innovations in law enforcement and governance also helped to shape the course of Mesopotamian history, and his impact can still be felt in the legal and political systems of the Middle East and around the world today. So what do you think? Do you agree with Hammurabi's philosophy of an eye for an eye? How do you feel about his treatment of women and slaves? Leave your thoughts in the comments section below. We'd love to hear what you have to say. And now it's time for the law segment of this episode. Did you know that in ancient Greece, a judge once dismissed a case because the plaintiff kept interrupting the defendant? The jury was unable to reach a unanimous verdict, and they decided that the next time the case went to court, they would only award damages if the plaintiff promised to shut up. Talk about an epic fail. Thanks for watching. What do you want to learn about next? Let us know in the comments section below. Our series, Mysteries of the Ancient World, explores some of humanity's deepest unanswered questions. From mysterious archaeological finds to perplexing historical accounts, each episode takes you on a journey to uncover the truth behind history's greatest enigmas. Don't miss this chance to deepen your understanding of the past.